Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have this review and one more video after this, and then I'm finally caught up with everything I've watched since like the beginning of 2024, the end of 2023, whatever. And then I'll finally have everything that I needed to review for horror films up for you guys, and I can start working on some other projects for you guys and on other channels and so on and so on. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, let's get into the review that I have right here for the 1980 William Peter Blatty directed and written, of course, the creator of Exorcist and Legion. He directed Exorcist 3, which is a phenomenal film, probably my favorite of that series. William Peter Blatty, The Ninth Configuration. This is adapted from his own novel, Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane, I believe is the title. And I had never seen this film before. I had heard people recommend it. Kind of here and there over the years. I had never seen it at like a rental store or anything back in the day when I was a kid. And it's a psychological thriller, a psychological horror, whatever you'd like to call it, in the vein of something like a Jacob's Ladder almost, but not as psychedelic, if you will, or not even as nightmarish as something like that. But it has its moments. This movie I had recommended directly recently on Reddit, and I decided, okay, I'll check it out. And it was on Tubi. That was the big thing I was looking for, were classic horror films like Night of the Comet and whatever that happened to be on Tubi, and this is one of them. So I checked it out, to be fair, and it's 2 hours long, and I hated it. I hated almost every draining second that felt like 4 hours per second in this movie. I absolutely hated it. For me, William Peter Blatty is one of the most underappreciated directors out there of his time, one of the most underappreciated writers of all time. I put him up there with like somebody like Tommy Lee Wallace when it comes to directors who never got the love they deserved until now, I believe, with Exorcist 3, and in Tommy Lee Wallace's case, the Pennywise It movie from 1990. That adaptation is phenomenal for the most part. And then you have like his Halloween 3 Season of the Witch that's now making a turnaround, and everybody's becoming a fan of it all of a sudden because it's cool to do that. So anyway, William Peter Blatty, phenomenal filmmaker. I was going into this not knowing that he directed and wrote it and adapted from his own novel, and that kind of had me stoked. And I'll be honest with you, I was really looking forward to it. I watched this 2-hour film, and I was bored to tears. I was bored to tears, man. Most of it just drained the hell out of me. So anyway, what is the Ninth Configuration about? Well, to start off, apparently Blatty himself has made comments over the years before he died that this is somehow a sequel, spiritual successor, something like that to The Exorcist. I don't know how, I don't know why he considers that. It's not a ghost film, not a possession film, not a demonic possession film, nothing like that, not even an exorcism film. Why would you connect these two? Maybe they have some character relations or something, I don't know. It's kind of dumb to call it that. To me, it sounds like advertising nonsense. And from now on, that's basically what my headcanon will be when I hear that brought up into discussion about this movie. Anyway, the Ninth Configuration essentially is about a ex-Marine psychiatrist who had kind of a wacky brother named Kane or something like that. Anyway, he exits the military, but he's not really out of the military. He goes up into a beautiful mansion out in the middle of these woods on this mountain. It's gorgeous when they shoot this place. I don't know if that's a real place or a painting or what, but it was beautiful, man. He has to go into this beautiful mansion and essentially, as a doctor, as a psychiatrist, takes care of a bunch of patients who are military folk who have had a lot of weird experiences in their life, who are schizophrenics and so on, different disorders and whatever, mental issues from scarring from the military. And he tries to take a different approach. Instead of trying to beat these things out of these people, he wants to kind of talk to them, let them be encouraged in their beliefs of them being whatever they think they are. For example, there's a guy in here who's kind of the comedic relief of the film for the most part, who is essentially a guy who puts on plays using dogs, I believe. I think it was dogs. It's been a while since I watched this, like a month. So it might be dogs, it might be cats, but I'm pretty sure it was dogs he uses to make like Shakespeare plays and stuff. The dude is a total whack job, and again, he has a couple of laughs he gets out of me, but for the most part, I can't stand the guy. Not a bad performance, probably the best performance of the entire film, to be honest with you, but it's everything surrounding that. It's this film not having a consistent tone. It's not a horror film. It's not trying to be scary. It's trying to have some horrific psychological thriller twists and turns towards the end of it that sometimes work, a lot of the time don't for me. I'm not really invested in our main character guy, the ex-Marine psychiatrist guy. I understand that we're supposed to care about him because he wants to care about these people, that his patients. He wants to care about them and do what he can to help them. I understand why we should feel something for him. I just don't, to be honest with you. But that performance was pretty okay, too. The performances in here are mostly fine. There's some familiar faces you'll probably see that you might know. But aside from that, the story is so boring. Most of the story is just people hanging out in this beautiful mansion, this doctor trying to talk to his patients, having talks about them, about God, because the one guy who throws plays and whatever apparently is a hardcore atheist. So he wants to prove the existence of God to this guy. And his approaches to doing that are so bizarre. Even as a Christian myself, I'm not a Catholic like I assume this character is supposed to be because William Peter Blatty was a Catholic. It's weird to me the approaches that this film goes for that. I don't think it's trying to prove anything to the audience. I think it's just a character momentum thing. I don't know. But I found this film boring as hell. I hated this shit so much. I will never watch it again. Not once, not again, not ever, because of how boring this was. Yeah, it's well shot, especially for the outside exterior shots. But aside from that, most of this is inside of that little area, feeling like a stage play most of the time. And I hated it. I hated it. I hated every minute of it, basically. There's no scares, really. There's a couple of moments of dramatic, horrific stuff that happen, but not bloody, not gory, so I can't even talk about like practical effects or anything like that. It's definitely a psychological horror film, and if you like that kind of thing, if this sounds like it's up your alley, let me warn you ahead of time, it's not as good as something like a Silent Hill game, or the Silent Hill first movie, or a Jacob's Ladder movie. It's not something in that regard that's that creative and well done. You could call it possibly a small precursor to those, but for me, it sucks. I'm not a fan of this. I hate it. I think it's just a piece of shit, frankly. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how highly rated the critics made it on IMDb. This movie sucks ass, and I will stand on that until the day I die. Anyway, when it comes to the Ninth Configuration, I have nothing good to say about this film. I did not like it. I will never buy this or watch it or even look at it. If I see it on Tubi, I shall snarl. If I had to rate it on a 5-star basis, the Ninth Configuration will probably get about a 1 out of 5 stars for me. I would love to hear from you folks who love this movie down in the comment section down below. Not in like a mean way. I would just love to hear what about it is something that you loved. If you were around back in the day and got to see this in the 80s when it released, I would love to hear what you thought of it. Did you love this? Did you hate it? Let me know everything you think about it down below. Are you a big William Peter Blatty fan? Let me know that down below too, because to me, I am, aside from not reading his books, I love his film work. I really do. And this is a massive disappointment to me. I mean, just critically, you know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. 1 out of 5 stars. God bless you guys, and goodbye.